The world of business is in a tough place right now. The biggest tech companies are starting historical layoffs, and it is difficult to analyze how bad it will get. And Meta is not an exception here. All tech geeks out there, are you aware that Meta put a halt to hiring engineers of all grades and experience levels as early as May this year, as part of the company's first broad firing procedures? As you know, Meta is completely collapsing, going down 70% in the stock market. But Mark Zuckerberg surprised everyone when he came out and announced that he has an incredible plan to solve this situation, and so Mark is planning historical changes in the world of social media. Also, Zuckerberg is planning giant firings throughout his companies, and thousands of employees will be fired very soon. But what's very interesting, as reported, this idea of layoffs Zuckerberg took from Elon, who fired a few thousand employees on Twitter as soon as he bought the company. And as reported, Zuckerberg decided that it could have been a great solution to cut expenses in Meta. But there is a big difference between Musk and Zuckerberg, and these firings might greatly backfire for Zuckerberg. The problem for Zuckerberg is that some time ago, Meta was doing great, until the CEO of Facebook made specific big decisions, and now Facebook is facing a horrible spot. This is a very interesting situation, so let's explain it. To begin with, it has been an abysmal year for the global economy, as tech firms reel from the drastic impacts of a teetering global economy, coupled with a fall in stocks. Tech workers bid sayonara to their high-paid jobs and what seemed to be, at least at one point in time, stable and high-flying careers. It seems that all that glitters is not gold anymore. Layoffs are in alarming figures for US tech companies in the last month alone, with 72 companies laying off a collective number of 35,000 tech employees, raising the count of tech industry-related job losses to 120,000 in the current year. Unsurprisingly, Meta has also been making headlines and has joined the queue of companies facing the biggest job cuts. Yes, you heard that right. Mark Zuckerberg has jumped onto the firing bandwagon, along with Amazon and Twitter, laying off 11,000 of its employees recently. That's a pretty massive number, making up about 13% of the tech giant staff. Interestingly, the news about carrying out mass firings at Meta surfaced after Twitter's head honcho, Elon Musk, did the needful, citing revenue challenges as the core reason for employee layoffs. In a side news, Zuckerberg's take on Musk's unconventional approach to content moderation on Twitter is quite positive, with Zuckerberg expressing his keenness to see how it would fare, as he is a proponent of platforms taking diverse approaches. It seems that the old adage is coming true: with every rise, there comes a fall. Things look bleak for Meta, at least on the recruitment front, with a hiring freeze in place that has no chance of thawing. Sorry, we could not resist a corny one-liner anytime soon, and certainly not anytime in the near future through the first quarter of 2023. In terms of its impact on the organization, Zuckerberg tells us that the layoffs will have an effect on the entire organization, with a particularly hard-hitting impact on the recruiting staff, as the upcoming year will translate into fewer hires. Like we stated earlier, blame it on the economy. So, what could be contributing to this unstable and shaky situation? You might wonder. With the influx of employees and massive hiring during the online phase of the pandemic, most companies ended up overhiring. Post-pandemic, as things have gradually switched over to the offline world once again, companies are now facing new challenges in terms of retaining these employees. Combine that with the recent woes plaguing the global economy, forcing companies to take a step back from investing in digital ads, a prime source of revenue for tech firms, and we have a full-blown crisis on our hands. All is not well in the world of tech, where many high-profile tech firms are currently challenged with a staggering situation. Prominent names, most notably those of Microsoft, Snap, and Netflix, are taking the rocky road to downsize their workforce. Amazon and Apple have also ceased hiring, albeit temporarily. In what has been a ruthless year for the global economy, following the hard hit sustained by the tech sector and its resultant impact on Nasdaq and other stock exchanges, Pierre-Olivier Grandchamp, the director of research at the International Monetary Fund, has ominously warned of storm clouds gathering with the onset of winter. Brace yourself, folks. Zuckerberg deems overhiring during the COVID-19 fiasco to be the chief reason behind the extensive job cuts. According to the Meta platform chief, the increase in e-commerce following mass lockdowns, which he thought would last for an indefinite period, as per his expectation, sadly did not pan out as anticipated, as recent times have quite plainly shown. Meta generated a much lower revenue than was initially expected, with weak performances being recorded across all its apps. No wonder things are where they stand at the current moment. In a letter addressed to his staff, Zuckerberg spelled out some pertinent reasons for the things going awry for the social media company economically, starting off with e-commerce taking a nosedive, the economic downfall, macroeconomic downturn as Zuckerberg called it, a rising competition, and ad sales taking a steep plunge, which are the predominant source of the company's income. This brings to the irony of it all. The irony is not lost on us though, as these slashes in the Meta workforce are taking place against the backdrop of a seemingly promising future in the form of the much-touted virtual reality platform, Metaverse, that Meta has poured billions of dollars into. Metaverse is a bit of a dodgy gamble. Its launch rather akin to waiting in anticipation for a hit or miss chance in front of a lottery machine. Should the social media company really focus on making the immersive online experience via VR headsets its mainstay? The question itself poses a big conundrum for Meta. Despite Meta's share price dropping drastically, Zuckerberg still remains optimistic when it comes to the future of his virtual baby. Adopting a glass-half-full kind of approach, he is a staunch supporter of the idea and firmly believes that this is where the future of the next generation of internet lies. Metaverse translates into social interaction, confined to digital spaces. Billions have already been allocated to the development of the hardware, i.e. headset and software, the virtual world where ideally people will engage in meaningful interaction, cutting costs, corners, and competition. As Meta struggles to cut corners and costs, Zuckerberg shoulders full responsibility for the loss of employment for many. In his message to staff, he has even apologized. That's it for today. Subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell.